So today we're talking about energy management, aka the most powerful tool in a productive unicorn's toolkit. So welcome to the weekly Brighter broadcast, your 10-minute-ish tip to work brighter and live smarter this week. Say hello in the comments and tell me whether you are an early bird or a night owl or hey, a midday panda. Let's do a midday one, and I want it to be pandas. So today we are talking all about energy management, and if you aren't familiar with that at all or anything, it's pretty self-explanatory. It is literally exactly what it sounds. It's just managing the energy in your body. You know, we hear a lot and we talk a lot about project management and task management, along with like time blocking and batching and stuff like that. And all of that is well and good, but it's only really possible if you have a strong foundation of energy management laid and you understand when to do those time blocks and batches and when to schedule those projects and tasks. When you're just looking at how many things you have on your to-do list or how many things you have on your calendar or how many hours you're booked for the day or something like that, you are not getting a full view of your productivity, of your work ability, of how much you are able to get done in that day. So when you're saying yes or no to things and when you're planning out your day, really a keystone of energy management is remembering to not just look at what do I technically have time for in my schedule and on my calendar, not just what do I have room for in my to-do list, but also what do I have the energy and the physical and the mental capacity for in my body. It's really that simple. It's just something that you have to, number one, remember to do on a consistent basis, which can be difficult in itself. And number two, you have to really understand your own energy levels for different types of work and times of day, which can be kind of frustrating because we're told all these things that we're meant to believe about productivity and stuff like that. And so a lot of us assume that like we're morning people or that we have to do the hardest stuff first and stuff like that. And so right now, a lot of us are working really out of sync with our own energy. It's just remembering to not just not just take it into account on a consistent basis, which is hard enough on its own, but you also have to know how to take it into account, which requires learning a lot about your own body and unlearning a lot of things that you've been told about productivity. And I also do want to mention that if you have ever heard of spoon theory in discussions around like health and mental health and chronic illness, this is really similar to spoon theory. And I even like to call it spoon theory for non-spoonies. Because it wasn't, like when I was first being told about spoon theory and things like that around my own health issues from my doctors, I really did not understand it. And it was only when I kind of realized like, oh, it's just managing my energy that I really understood it. And it became a lot simpler to me. So, this is great for productivity. It's also great for getting your physical and mental health in balance with your to-do list, which is so important. And if you've followed my stuff at all, you know that that's a really important journey for me that I've really been working on. High energy tasks, like for me, that tends to be stuff like video like this. Other types of content creation like writing or calls might only take 15 minutes when I'm really revved up and energetic. But if you try to do them when you don't have the proper energy for them, they can take like 5 times as long. Like, have you ever sat to write a blog post or an email or anything when you're exhausted and this thing that you know should only take like 30 minutes tops takes hours and hours and you're just staring at the same paragraph wondering why is it taking so long to write this one paragraph? So if that has ever happened to you when you've tried to do something really hard, when you're really tired, then you have experienced what happens when your energy management is out of sync with your time management. Different types of work, like I said, examples before, like calls, writing, content creation, they all take different amounts of energy, and that amount of energy varies for everyone. So it varies for everyone, and so that's why I mentioned that it requires a lot of unlearning, because I want to mention this one specific example. So a lot of us are told to a popular productivity tip is to batch our calls, right? To, if you feel like calls and meetings are taking up a lot of your time, to make them all on one day and just get them over with. And then you have the rest of the week to be productive. That's a really popular tip, and it works in theory. However, in my case, calls and meetings are one of the most draining things I could possibly have on my schedule. And so, like, while yes, in theory, that means not having that super draining thing on my calendar 4 days a week, it means having a really, really, really exhausting day that one other day that I'm batching my calls. So when I used to try to batch my calls and meetings, I would find that I would try to do like maybe 4 half-hour phone calls in one day. So it's not even necessarily a lot of work. It was just still a few hours of phone calls and meetings. And that would wipe me out. Oh my God. It would be awful. Just by the end of the day, I would be dragging so hard. I would be exhausted. I'd be cranky. I'd be in a bad mood. A lot of times I wasn't that great on those end calls towards the end of the day too. And so since some of those were sales calls, very unfortunate. And yeah, that was just all because I wasn't taking energy into account. And then in addition, then the rest of the week, once I'd gotten the calls out of the way and I was supposed to be being productive without these calls on the schedule, what would actually happen would be that I would have this productivity hangover and this energy hangover, where even though I didn't have that stuff anymore, I overextended myself so much on that call day that I would be exhausted and not able to be as productive and work as much like the whole rest of the week. Even though the calls weren't even there, they were still impacting my productivity because I wore myself out. That is an example, personal example of something that was really eye-opening for me around how traditional productivity advice might be really, really screwing with your actual productivity. And one of the main reasons for that is because of your energy. It really is just so much easier when you plan around your energy first, and then your time and your schedule second, third, whatever else your priorities are. An example of that is in the WorkWriter Clubhouse, which is the membership community that I run. We do an energy management challenge, and where we really work on finding our own peak hours and everything like that. And we have several writers in the group who were always like just kind of following traditional writing advice, saying get it out of the way in the morning, wake up early, do stuff like that. But then actually as they were going through the challenge in the clubhouse, they were finding, oh, we actually feel so creative at night. What if our writing is better then? And I encourage them to try it because that's the case for me. And lo and behold, so Clubhouse members were finding their own peak hours for things like writing and doing deep work, and also finding better times for working out. You know, we're all told to get our workout over with in the morning, but if you're not a morning person, that can be making your workout more difficult than it needs to be. It could actually be an easier workout if you just put it off for a few more hours until you have more energy. So I've had to get really, really familiar with this myself as I've been in charge of my own schedule, as well as kind of adjusting to working around different health issues and energy issues that I had myself. Like I said, spoon theory. This is actually something that my doctors are ordering me to do and have ordered me to do in the past. And so some days it might feel like I had endless free hours to work, and this was a really tough lesson to learn. But sometimes, even if I had 8 free work hours, first of all, LOL, but second of all, even if it felt like I had that, in reality, when I looked at my energy, I had maybe 1 or 2 hours of productive work and just lots of times to do low energy work like check email. And so I realized that a lot of this time I was trying to force myself to do deep work like content creation or video. I was really working out of sync with my energy, and I was better off just networking on social media, even though it seemed like not the most productive thing I could do. That long term doing that would be how I avoided overextending myself and overexhausting myself and burning myself out. If you are interested in learning about all of this for yourself and starting to plan taking your own energy into account, I do have a few easy tips that you can go through. The first thing that you can do is you can start paying attention to where different tasks on your to-do list fall on like the scale of draining and exhausting and sucks the soul out of you to mindless, easy, I could do this in my sleep or while watching TV or while carrying a conversation and no one would ever be able to tell the difference. And you also want to look at your mood and energy levels throughout the day. Because like I said, we've all been told these things about our productivity and about our energy that are not necessarily true. You might not be a morning person, and guess what? That's okay. That's totally fine. Not everyone needs to be a morning person. And so you might be, like I said, better off putting some of those hard tasks that we're all told to do in the morning. We might be better off putting them off towards the afternoon if you have more energy then. That is how I really stopped feeling guilty about writing and doing important work at night when I felt like I should be getting them over with by now. And it felt like I was procrastinating all day because I was doing these things at night. Really, I was just saving them for when they would be easiest. You want to start looking at where they fall on that scale. And I really do suggest actually going through and writing this stuff down, as much as it might seem like weird to experiment and log your body levels and stuff like that. So once you do that, you look at your energy levels for different tasks as well as throughout the day. You can start planning more easily around that. And so making sure that each day that you plan for yourself has the right balance of easy and hard, draining and re-energizing types of tasks. So for example, for me, since calls are so draining, I never try to do more than 2 calls in one day anymore. No more batching. Because I know that spreading them out throughout the week is how I can spread my energy out throughout the week instead of just draining it all, burning myself out, and having to take a rest day in the middle of the week because I was on the phone so much. It might also mean knowing to spread out your writing throughout the week. And instead of trying to batch content on Mondays, to write content for a little bit every day and just take all these small bites of your big goal. Just remember to spread your energy out throughout the week. And you can even conduct a really formal, nerdy, fun energy management audit for a week or two and get hard data for yourself, which is the coolest thing, let me tell you. So we do this, like I said, in the Work Brighter Clubhouse. We do have this energy management challenge where I created all of these resources. I created an energy management tracker that has a form that you fill out several times a day, asking you questions like, how do you feel? How much energy do you have? What did you get done? So you can really see like the trends and the graphs and all that of how you feel and how productive you are throughout the day. And how in alignment that is with what you're trying to do with your to-do list and your work. So it is so enlightening. For me, that paying attention to my own energy management and doing an audit for myself completely changed my work hours. Completely. I don't work in the mornings at all, and I don't feel bad about it anymore because I know that what takes me an hour to do in the morning will take me 20 minutes if I just wait until the afternoon, and that I can work less by not working mornings and get the same amount and more done. And that was just so freeing to recognize and like have actual proof of. Like I said, we do it in the Work Brighter Clubhouse, my membership program, and we are going to be doing it regularly. So if you want access to this form and the resources and this official challenge, you can join us. If you have any questions about energy management, just drop them in the comments. If you're looking to get started for yourself,